Hello everyone, welcome to the QuesterMage and welcome to today's video about Rampage Total Destruction on PlayStation 2. Like I've been mentioning in my other videos, I'm trying to buy more PlayStation 2 games due to buying this 8-bit DOE adapter, which allows me to play games on PlayStation 2 with a Dualshock 4 controller, or more importantly, with this 8-bit DOE arcade stick. And here is another game that I had no idea existed, much less that it was a compilation of Rampage games. I really like Rampage growing up, so I thought I'd pick this game up and we'd have a little bit of a chat about it right now. Is this version any good? What does it contain? Let's find out. So when you boot up the game, you will see this main menu screen here featuring 3 very well-known characters to anyone that's played Rampage before. Straight off the bat, we can see that there are 4 modes available in this game. We have a campaign that can be played by 1 or 2 players, King of the City, only 2 players, King of the World, only 2 players, and Time Run, 1 or 2 players. Now, the mode I prefer playing in this game is the campaign mode. You will also see on the bottom left-hand side, it says options and bonus content. The bonus content we'll get to in a bit. We also have on the bottom right-hand side, select button and profiles. And yes, this game, once it starts up, it prompts you to create a profile so that it can save all your saved data. So I'm going to start off by talking about the options as I usually do. And here in the options, we will see not many things to change. Now, there are more options in this game in the bonus content, which again, I'll get to in a bit. Most of my time playing this game that again I've never played before was playing the campaign mode. As you can see here, we have several characters, George, Lizzie and Ralph, which to me are the main 3, and then we have other characters, which is really good. Each character having statistics. As you can see here, you can flip the character card around to see what they're good at, what they're not, and what you have upgraded so far. You also have this card sheet on the bottom left-hand side that will allow you to see which characters are available in the game and so far which ones you have unlocked. The game seems to have 7 levels with multiple stages within, and when you finish one stage, it just seamlessly transitions into the next one. Every level having a 4-star system, which you can see when you're selecting the level. Each stage has a side mission which will unlock something, and every level ends with a boss. So how does the game look? As you have been seeing on screen, I think this looks pretty good. Upon seeing this game, I would automatically know this is indeed a Rampage game. That's always a good thing. And I think generally the gameplay is pretty good. But we're not here today just to talk about Rampage, the PlayStation 2 version. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you will know that one of the things I really like talking about and finding for the PlayStation 2 are game compilations. As a very big surprise to me, because again, I had no idea that this game also includes 2 other games by Midway, which are the Midway Classics. And here you can see them on screen. We have the original arcade version of Rampage and Rampage World Tour, which I think was available for the Nintendo 64. Which brings the total of games in this compilation to 3 Rampage games, which is fantastic. So how do these games play on the PlayStation 2? Well, first off, let's take a look at Rampage World Tour or Rampage 64. The first thing that I notice is this loading screen, which looks very similar to the Midway Arcade Treasures, which are 3 other compilations available for the PlayStation 2. Once you press the start button, you see this splash screen for Rampage World Tour, and then after a little bit of information as you're seeing on screen, it will take you straight into an attract mode. And here's what the game looks like. And as you can see, I think the game looks pretty good. Bearing in mind I am using a level hike HDMI adapter for the PlayStation 2, which I'll get to in a moment as well, this looks very good, at least for me. I never thought I'd be playing Nintendo 64's version of Rampage on a PlayStation 2. Once you see this attract mode, you can press the start button, and then we get a little bit of story, which I'm going to skip like I usually do, and we're going to see some of the gameplay. The very first thing I noticed in the gameplay going from the PlayStation 2 version to the Nintendo 64 version is this version feels very quick in comparison. Now, I don't know if this is the speed that the original game played at or not, but this seems pretty quick, but plays very, very well. Now, you probably did notice that there was no main menu. The game just went straight into the game. I don't know if that's normal or not. If you played Rampage World Tour on the Nintendo 64, please let me know down in the comments. Was it normal that the game just went straight into the game, or did it have a main menu? There was also no character select. I'm guessing that the characters were selected by changing the controller from player 1 to 2, 3, or 4. Even though it seems like there are only 3 players, as you can see at the top of the screen, 1 health bar, and then 2 sentences saying, join the action. Now, I did mention the level height HDMI adapter a second ago, and I am going to make a video about this adapter, which should be out sometime next week. This game, unfortunately, only runs at 50 Hz. And for games that run at 50 Hz, they run slower, number one, and for the level height HDMI adapter, they do not display correctly on the screen. The image is zoomed in, and there's no way to fix that with the adapter itself. Fortunately, if your games run at 60 Hz, they will run fine, but this game runs at 50 Hz, and as they've included a screen size function, I could fix the way that the game scales, which is great. Now, I'll show the difference here on screen now, what it looks like before I change the screen size, and now after I change the screen size. Definitely something that is noticeable. Very happy to have this game here, never played this before, so thumbs up for including this game in this compilation. Next would be Rampage, the original arcade game. And here it is, this is what it looks like in this compilation. I have already changed the screen size so that it fits perfectly. There's George, Lizzie and Ralph once again, and it says press the start button. So let's do that and see how the game runs in this compilation. And here we are in the gameplay, and it looks fantastic. One of the things I do have to do eventually is to compare this version with the version that you get in the Midway Arcade Treasures, because that compilation also includes Rampage, and it'll be interesting to see if it runs exactly the same. I'm assuming it does, because again, the loading screen's the same as the one you get on that collection, but it'll be an interesting thing to see. But overall, I'm glad to say the game runs really well, as you can see here on screen. I'm not having any problems. The game is very fun. I've always liked playing Rampage, so if you like playing Rampage, you're pretty much going to like what you see here. And if you don't like Rampage, I'm assuming you've played it and don't like it, so I don't think this would change your mind. But I very much like having the original Rampage in this compilation. So as you can see, I was very surprised to find that Rampage Total Destruction on the PlayStation 2 is actually a compilation and not just one game. But what would I change in this compilation? Well, the first thing I've mentioned slightly before, there is no 60 Hz mode for the PAL version of this game, and that is the version you're seeing on screen. That's unfortunate. That's something I would definitely like to change so that it displays properly for my adapter, and also you get faster gameplay, which is nice. I did notice that in the main PlayStation 2 game, the controls were a little bit fiddly to climb onto buildings. That might just be me not being used to the game, so the more I play it, maybe the better I'll get at it. But I still think it's worth mentioning, as playing the original Rampage and playing Rampage 64, I didn't have any of these issues. So these control issues might be because of the transition from 2D to 3D. In the way of options, as we saw earlier, there aren't that many. No difficulty toggles, which surprised me, something that definitely seems missing. When playing through the campaign in the main game, you will notice that once you destroy a block, the level will finish. This also applies to the boss battle. On screen, you're seeing a level that includes a boss fight. Now, if you do not beat the boss and you destroy the whole block, the level will finish, which is a little bit weird. I didn't see any prompts to that effect, and that is something that I definitely would have liked to have known before I finished the level, because now I feel like I have to go back and try that again. There's no button remapping for any of the games. That's really unfortunate. Would have liked to have seen that. As I was talking about replaying levels, there is no replay option when you finish a stage in the campaign mode. So if you notice you made a mistake 2 stages ago, you can't go back to that. You just have to finish that level and then start it again. Would have been nice also to include an in-game manual. My physical game unfortunately didn't come with the manual in it, which is becoming more and more common, which is something I don't like, but we have to put up with it. If we want the game and we can play it, at least that's something. And the reason that I'm mentioning that for this game in particular is because I didn't know what the items done in the main game, and in case they had changed, I would have liked to have known what they do. But it would have been nice to have known that in advance, so maybe an in-game manual would have been nice. Lastly, the things that I would change, when I found out that this was a compilation, it's a shame that it didn't actually include more versions. Now, I know that sounds a little bit greedy, but it would have been awesome to have Rampage from the Spectrum and other 8-bit versions of this game. It would have been lovely. If they're going the compilation route, why not put them all on there? Now, I'm ecstatic with what I had because I didn't expect to have extra games here. But if they would have branded this as a compilation itself, and it would have had 10 variants of the original Rampage, I probably would have known that that collection existed, because it would have said something like the Rampage collection, and I would have definitely bought that. However, if I would have seen this in the store back in the day, I would have just thought it's just one PlayStation 2 version of the game, which is interesting, but not as interesting as here's the brand new PlayStation 2 version, and here are 10 old versions within this collection. I think that would have been amazing. So with that said, what are my overall thoughts on this compilation? First and foremost, this game, as I've been mentioning, has a PlayStation 2, I guess 3D remake of the original Rampage. It has an N64 title and an arcade classic, all of which are fun to play, and I'd never played the PlayStation 2 or the Nintendo 64 version before. The Rampage formula is fun no matter which game you play, but I do like the differences between the 3 games included. Even though you're doing similar things, the games feel slightly different, which is good to have that variety. The arcade original is simple, fun, and challenging. The N64 game is basically a 64-bit remake of that, and the PlayStation 2 version, I see it as an expansion of the Rampage idea. The unlockables that are included in this game are a great addition, and it will keep me playing the game again and again to try and unlock all of the characters, their movesets, and try and get all those stars for all those levels. The game looks good and plays relatively well. I found that in Total Destruction, jumping onto a building seemed a little bit more fiddly than it should be, but overall fun nonetheless. Now, is this one of the best games that I have on PlayStation 2? Well, no. But it's not a bad game at all. I had fun playing it for the first time, and the inclusion of the arcade original and World Tour for the 64 makes this game a surprise compilation of Rampage games. And if you are like me and like game collections or compilations, if you can get this for cheap, I think this is definitely worth every penny, and I have enjoyed my time with this game and will continue to do so. The only question I have now is which game I'm going to try and finish first, the arcade version, the Nintendo 64 version, or the PlayStation 2 version. And also I think I need to try these games out with an arcade stick to see if it's even more fun than what it has been so far. So what do you think of Rampage Total Destruction on the PlayStation 2? Did you know this was a compilation of games? As I said, I didn't. Please let me know down in the comments. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? How would you change it? And let's have a discussion about it. So that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much again for watching. If you like what I do here, please do click that like button down below. Helps out the channel a lot. And if you want to see more, please click that subscribe button, as that is the only way this channel can grow. Now, I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, thanks again.